bother with all this YouTube politics, to be honest.
Are you ready?
We're back. The time is now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are we doing? Oh, we've still got Santa around us. What's going on here? Let's take that off. We don't need Santa with us anymore, do we? That's it. Santa's gone. It's another year over. I hope everybody's well out there in viewer land.
That. Go on, Gary. Do ya? No.
Go on. I've got loads of time.
I was just going to say that you know, the older you get, the quicker Christmas comes around again.
It's so true, mate. It is so true. Because the kids say, "Oh, we've got another year," and I'm like, "Yeah," but for me, it seems like blooming 6 months rather than a year.
And me.
Like you say, the older you get, it certainly does come round rather quickly. Like I say, I hope everybody is well this morning. This Tuesday morning, it's certainly very chilly out there down Doon South from where I am in Warwickshire. It's certainly one for a warm coffee and, like I say, a hot water bottle around my back because I'm still struggling a little bit. So again, apologies if you see me wriggling around. Welcome to everybody watching across all the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background, doing an amazing job as always. Don't forget, people out there in viewerland, smash that like button for us. It certainly helps us as a channel. Subscribe, totally free. Hit that bell for future content because, like I say, you'll get that 30-minute warning. We're always live, never edited. If you want to support us, you can become a member. If you can afford to do so, it certainly will help us bring more content of quality to yourselves. If you've got a question during the presser today, then throw a queue in front of it. It ain't guaranteed, as I say, so apologies if we don't mention you. But if you do want to guarantee it, then throw us a talk super chat and that. Just use the $sign, follow the instructions. If you become a member during the show, or any of our lovely members that gift them out there will also be thanked as we go through the show. And like I say, be patient with us. Like I said, we do have lots of chat going on, and like I say, we star certain ones to fill the void, if you like, after we've finished speaking, and we'll come back to you. So, like I say, just be patient. We will get to those that are important to us as well, because, like I say, without you guys out there watching us, then it's just two blokes talking in a pub, innit? So, like I say, we do like to include everybody if we can. You want to do some shout outs, mate, while I just set up some of these questions that Eddie Howe could be facing today?
Hello, Sean, new recruit to the Bedwetters.
Hey!
Hello, Lee McFarlane, Kevin. Kev B, I don't know if is that our Kev? I wonder, I don't know. Nut, Lynn Simpson, Sanitizer, Mick Bingley. Hello, Mick.
Good morning.
Who's that? Tomo Thompson. I haven't seen that one before. Have you seen Tomo Thompson before?
Yeah, I've seen Tomo in there before.
Oh, well, welcome back, welcome along. Alan, Mick, and Sabotage are in the building, in that chat anyway. There's more than them in the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Alan, don't forget, smash the likes, please.
Yeah, indeed. Like I say, we are planning new things in the new year. The lads are working tirelessly in the background to bring more content. So the more you support us, the more we can get. I say we've had more recruits than Newcastle have this year already. They're all free transfers in, if I'm honest with you. And at the minute, we've only sold one. He went for a very small fee. Bag of Smarties. Andy Bell, bless him. He's retired hurt, but I'm sure he'll be back in the future. Like I say, he's got so much going on at the minute, bless him, with the band and stuff like that. It's just hard to keep up with everything else he's doing. So I'm sure we'll hear from Andy in the near future. Let's get on with today's presser then. What type of conversations is Eddie Howe expecting? I'm sure it'll be team and selection. You know, is there any update on the injury list? We saw, which was very glad to see, if I'm honest with you, against Crystal Palace, a lot of the lads turning up with their boot bag. Again, 3 out of the 4 injured defence, if you like, were back in part of the squad. And like I say, Tino looked fresh when he come on, had a few minutes, which was good to see.
When you were saying there, the lads turning up with their boot bags, I thought you were on about the press at the last, which is very good to see. Turning up with their bother boot bags with the questions ready. And it wouldn't surprise, bear in mind that's kind of 2 on the trot that he's been quizzed after the Burnley game, before the, which one would it be? No, it was in the post match after the Burnley game when he was quizzed about the Slaughton. No, it wasn't. It was the Palace. It was the Palace presser when he was quizzed about the onslaught. And prior to and immediately after the match, he was quizzed about. Well, it couldn't have been immediately after. Must have been the next day, or whenever he spoke to the press next privately. He was quizzed about the Bruno comments, and for me that was taken out of all proportion, as was, by the way, the Lee Ryder question. As far as I'm concerned, I thought he fielded the Plan A question brilliantly, and he answered the onslaught question succinctly as well, because he was right. It was never an onslaught. No. And he says what you do is, and a bit like what he did on Tuesday night. Oh, no, sorry, on Sunday. It was still Plan A.
Yeah,
but just different personnel who executed the plan better.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, I don't know whether there's been lots of conversations now regarding the way coaches coach and managers manage, and you know, we are constantly during this platform, if you like, as well, corrected, sometimes incorrectly, because, like I say, there's still people out there that are hands-on, and there's still people out there that aren't hands-on anymore and rely very much on the backroom staff to coach the message across from the manager, and the manager then manages the situation. And I mean, it's really funny, and the reasons why I say that, if you look at Alonso now at Real Madrid, because he's following Ancelotti, he's who used to manage the squad. And again, there's lots of big names at Real Madrid, so you do have to manage egos a little bit. And now they've got a coach on board, totally different vision, totally different hands-on approach, and he's not going down very well. So he's under a lot of pressure straight away. And that's what I said. When a team's been used to dealing with somebody, and it's like Benitez, I've often said Benitez was a great manager. Unfortunately, his man management game wasn't very good, and he'd nitpick about time management and things like that. Now, for me, when you want to get the best out of players, the one thing you can't do is nitpick the fine things. You know what I mean? Because some players will turn up a little bit late, and sometimes you have to be very good instead of doing it in a rollicking, if you like, in a crowd. You've got to pull them to one side and have a quiet word in their ear, type of thing. It's very difficult managing egos at times, and it's the same as on here, isn't it?
Alex Ferguson was the best at that. If you remember, I don't know if you saw the Ryan Giggs interview.
Yeah.
Where Ryan Giggs says that he would lash into Giggs in the dressing room publicly, but Cantona had a free pass basically, and Giggs turned up at some official Man United function, and he didn't have a
tie on, wasn't it?
A shirt and tie on.
Yeah.
And Alex said, "What the hell do you think you're doing? You know, you're representing the club. The least you could do is wear a shirt and tie. Go and find one." And when Cantona walked in the room, all super cash in whatever sort of gear he was wearing at the time, Ferguson turned round. This is in front of the whole dressing room. Turned round to Giggs and said, "You see, he can carry that off."
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? When you see the finer details,
And that's the difference between man management and management.
absolutely, and that's what I said. You've got to be careful where you land, and it's like I said, Eddie. We know Eddie Howe is very much the hands-on, coach-led type of thing, and again, what I think Eddie Howe misses is a good number two, somebody who can bring a different line, like to that subject, if you like, and fine tune certain areas. And you saw him the other day. He looked against Crystal Palace when we couldn't get behind them before we scored, and he was talking to Mad Dog, and he was talking about. You could see he's trying to work out formations of play and everything else, and he was got his fingers up. He was having a chat to him, and literally, Mad Dog Jason Tyndall had got his hands in his pockets. It didn't seem as though there was any two-way conversation type of thing going on. So again, have we got somebody who just talks and the one that is a yes man and agrees with whatever he says? Sometimes that's not the way forward. For me, brainstorming is always going to be the best answer. And I sometimes praise Eddie for actually going to the bench and having a word with all of the analysts and all of the coaches that surround him and talk about where the game's going. And you can often see, again, you've got to question what's coming back, obviously. And it is then still up to Eddie Howe to go ahead and either change things to what they've suggested, or at least it gives him a different outlook. And I think that's the way forward. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of conversation about team selection, about rotation, because it's a congested list, as we well know, 15 games in 50 days. So it's going to be a busy, busy time for us as well. Match preparation tactics, obviously, about Leeds and their high press. They're renowned for the high press. Prepare for the team intensity, I suppose. They're on a good run at the minute, unbeaten in 7, Leeds, so they come with a little bit of confidence to St James's Park tomorrow. So it's going to be
with the man that got away, banging in the goals.
Yeah, he's got 8, I believe, now, hasn't he? He's certainly hitting the high notes at the moment at Leeds. Obviously, we've got to issue ourselves at scoring at the moment, as we've seen. Nothing really coming out of any of the wingers, if you like, that we've got on. So creativity, I would imagine, will be another one. I suppose what I want to do is ask you guys out there in the chat, how long do you reckon it'll be, or how long do you reckon it'll take before we have a Leeds United specific question, as it's the Leeds presser? It was 20-odd minutes, wasn't it, the last one, before we actually got into it.
Well, I wouldn't have anybody who'll bring up the Dominic Calvin-Lewis connection.
Yeah, potentially. I would imagine. He's that the one that got away, if you like. I wonder whether he's going to be. I suppose the first ones will be the interest from Chelsea and Man U, won't it?
Sorry, Gary, say again.
I would imagine the start of this press out will be all based on interest in regarding Manchester United now not being having a manager or a coach. Well, and obviously Chelsea.
I was going to say on Chelsea.
Yeah,
interested. So, the bookies who seldom get it wrong have got idea 20 and 25s respectively. About eighth favourite. But I don't know if you saw the show last night, but I was looking at who were the favourites for the Man United job, and you go down that list, and you think, do you really fancy any of them? Xavi was fourth favourite, I think.
Yeah.
And apart from him, do you really fancy any of the other 7 that they've got there to replace Eddie? Because I don't. Gareth Southgate, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. God. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you look at all of these all of these lads, the names, like I say, it's a very small pool, and like I said, Chelsea are gambling. You know, I mean, they're now talking about Maresca going to Manchester United. You know, coming out of Chelsea and going straight into Manchester
His second
United.
favourite.
Second favourite, yeah, exactly. It is crazy. Terry Bilton, you're absolutely right about the behaviour of a so-called fan being racist towards Willock. Like I said, he doesn't need to be involved at all in life, never mind in a game that really his miss didn't affect the game either. And I think that is, like I say, is this bots these days that are creating this stuff? You don't know, just to get, you know, clicks. There's so much now on social media. It is crazy. I mean, it's an interesting one this morning. I read about Joe Willock. And, you know, for me, I thought he would probably be the favourite to leave. But according to reports, he's not going anywhere.
Right, I thought, because I'd heard both Fulham and, I'm saying that
Crystal Palace.
I've got moles anyway, but, you know, there's been regularly links to both Fulham and Crystal Palace.
Yeah, exactly. But no, nothing. Literally, they've both said, well, because we were talking about obviously all these midfielders, the younger midfielders.
That was why I'd, you know, mischievously said, did he miss? Did you miss that on purpose because he's going to Palace?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it looks again. These are all rumours, and it looks like he's certainly not going anywhere unless there's players come in. And again, depending on who you believe and who you listen to, a lot of people out there speculate that Newcastle aren't going to be doing much business until they see everybody back fit. So it could be later on in the window. If anything does happen, it'll be much later. Lots of rumours out there regarding Tonali and Juventus, as we discussed yesterday. But like I said,
to kind of phrases in there saying his morning, his grumpy morning.
Yeah.
I've just got out of bed tone certainly doesn't help either.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, isn't it? Like I say, you said that, but before we come on air, like, you know, you'd wished you'd stayed in bed because it is nippy out there this morning. The missus took the kids to school this morning and was slippy slidey on the way back, she was saying, as she was turning some of the corners locally to us. -4 down here. I don't know what it is up in the northeast, but it's certainly a nippy one. And according to it, like I say, there's lots more weather coming our way, and they can't quite forecast where the snow is going to land over the next 48 hours. So we'll have to wait and see. You made a good comment yesterday after we all...
Surely not.
Well, you did, because you mentioned, obviously, there's a couple of new panellists on board with Kevin, Ian and Michael coming on board. And your point was quite right. Is he going to utilise Bournemouth as the game to bring back the injured players to get some minutes in the legs in readiness for Champions League games? And again, you know, we've often said, haven't we? It's not about the team being poor anymore. We have got depth in numbers now, and there should be no real reason why Eddie Howe can't utilise this.
Here we
Eddie
go.
Howe is just in the building.
Yeah. Be slipping all over the place, wouldn't you? Morning. It is freezing.
Still got these draconian rules in place? Absolutely.
Draconian.
Let me.
You all right, Keith?
Yeah, as per Luke's comment, draconian rules still in place. 20 minutes, please. 3 questions per broadcaster. Single questions wherever possible for written advice, please. There's no raises today, so that Keith.
Eddie, nice to see you. Back-to-back wins for your team in the Premier League with another home game to come. Of course, another couple of home games after that in other competitions. Is there a feeling that you guys are maybe beginning to get a bit of momentum going here?
We hope so. Yeah, good feeling after the Crystal Palace game. It was a big win for us, tough opposition, tight game. Pleased to come out on the right side of it, and I think with another home game to come, that's a great thing for us. Yeah, we love these evening games.
I think you said after the game on Sunday that Jacob Murphy had maybe hurt his hamstring towards the end, and that was why he came off. How is he been the last couple of weeks, and will he be involved tomorrow?
Yeah, he's had a scan. There's good news on the scan. No major injury there, so I think it was probably fatigue. His physical numbers in the game were outstanding. So, yeah, I think he'll be available at the moment. I think it'll be a late decision for us, but it's crossed.
And I also wanted to ask you about the statement the club put out yesterday regarding the racist abuse suffered by Joe Willock. Obviously, it's not the first time we've seen this for him, but it's pretty depressing stuff, isn't it?
It's absolutely horrible, and it really felt for Joe to have to read that and absorb the words that were sent to him, and just his reaction again I thought was first class. It's such a shame that any football player or any sportsman or any individual has to read those words, and I can't support him enough and give him love at this moment.
Andy?
Morning, Eddie. Just one on Fabian Schär. 250th game for Newcastle at the weekend. In this kind of era of football where it's game after game after game, just how good has he been now for the club? To reach a milestone like 250, that's some innings.
Yeah, some effort from Fabi, and he continues to impress. I think he's an unbelievable character. When you work with him every day, he's cool, calm and collected, that you see sort of on the pitch in his body language and his demeanour, but he's someone that cares so deeply about the football club and what he does. He's been such an important player for us after the last few seasons. With his technical skills are quite obvious when you watch him play, but he's got that big heart that every defender needs. He puts his body on the line continually for us. He's brave. Yeah, I think he's been outstanding, and what a signing from the football club, and great to see him still going and playing so well.
Just overall on the season, 2 managers gone. I think there's 8 points between 5th and 15th in the Premier League. How strange a season, I guess, is this currently?
Yeah, I think it is slightly strange. It's a different Premier League season. I think the difference between all the teams is probably smaller than it's ever been. All the games are really tight. I think the league generally, sort of the strength through the league's got stronger. I know there's a cliche where we say there's no easy games, but there is no easy games. Regardless of who you play, home or away, very, very tough to win games consistently in the Premier League. So I think the league table sort of reflects that. Of course, you've got Arsenal have been outstanding so far in the league, and they've been the most consistent team. But it is an unusual Premier League. But I think opportunities then exist within the league to climb it. And so if we can be one of the teams that is strong and puts a good run together, then quickly you can elevate your position, and that's what we're looking to do.
Just finally, you mentioned the tough games. I mean, Leeds United at the moment, bearing in mind the form that they're in, is the biggest compliment you can probably pay them they look every inch at a Premier League's team, given the recent results that they've had?
Another example, I mean, I think they've come back into the Premier League and they've done really, really well. I think the first game we had against them, we sort of saw very early in the season how strong they could be this year. Thought they were really good that day, and it was a tough game for us. I think Daniel's done a really good job. Last year, I think they got promoted off the back of really expansive, entertaining football, and now into the Premier League, where I think they've done well defensively and they've looked really solid, which is a huge compliment for any team coming up, because it's so difficult to defend and keep clean sheets and to be solid in that way. And they've also had the ability to score goals, and they look quite creative. So good unbeaten run for them. I think they've been good away from home. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game.
Thank you. Alistair?
Hi, Eddie. Reunion with Sean Longstaff tomorrow. It'll no doubt be strange for him walking out at St James's Park on the other side. If he plays, obviously he's been injured a bit. What have you made of his time in Yorkshire, and what kind of threat does he pose? He obviously knows you and the team really well.
Yeah, I think Sean's an outstanding player. We were sad to lose him. He's a player that contributed massively to our success. Really enjoyed working with him. I think he really, again, another player similar to Fabian, really cares about the football club. His love for the club, I think, is really deep, having come through the youth system. And when I first got to see him train and work with him, you saw the level of player and what he could be in our system. And I think our system brought out the very best in him. I thought he executed it really well tactically and score of really important goals. And someone who really loves the game and understands the game tactically really well. So I think we've missed him. But we wished him well, and I think it was the right time for him to progress his career, and he's done really well. When he's been fit, I think he's been a big player for them. So we'll welcome him back. It'd be great to see him. But of course, he'll want to do well, and we'll want to do well against him.
You've got a few more options at right back again with Tino back and Trippier back, but have they got a bit of a fight for that position with how well Lewis Miley's done that?
I'm so impressed with Louis. I've said this countless times in the last few weeks. I think to play a position that he hadn't played before in the manner that he has is real credit to his football understanding and his ability to take on new information and absorb that really quickly and be able to execute that under pressure has been a huge boost for the team in a time when we didn't have another player for that position. We'd take it on a game-by-game basis. I think Louis done really well. I mean, I think on the ball, especially the other day, on some really tight areas, he got out some really difficult spots with his range and his really good touch. And defensively, again, I thought he was outstanding. So let's see what we do for this game. And
Anthony Elanga, is he available? How's he fitness-wise?
Don't think he's quite there yet. We keep thinking maybe the next game, but it's just taking a little bit longer in the final stages than we'd hoped. So I think, yeah, he won't be long, but maybe not for this one.
Thanks, Alistair. I've got to Damien, George, and then to Charlie, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Andy mentioned a couple of managerial vacancies that have come up. When you were linked with the Manchester United job a while back, you were unequivocal in your commitment to this club. Does that remain the case? And if so, what is it that excites you about this project?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing has changed from my perspective. I'm 100% here, working as hard as I can, head down, ignoring all the stuff that you guys write, whether it's good or bad, because it's irrelevant. It's about today's work and trying to prepare the team as well as we can for Leeds. So that will never change from my perspective. I think my commitment to my work and my job, as long as happy and able to express myself in the best way that I can to help the team, nothing will change.
Thank you. George?
Morning, Eddie. You are the fourth longest serving manager in the Premier League and 10th overall in the whole pyramid, I think. And you were at Bournemouth for a very long time over 2 spells. What is the key to longevity beyond just results? How much do you have to evolve as a manager, and what specifically have you done here? And if you think I've maybe asked 3 questions in one there,
you have to try and dodge these rules. I laughed because longevity is such a strange one, because I don't set out to with time in mind. I set out to try and win games, and just really the next game, and then after that the next game and the next game. So you're working, I always find, week to week, game to game. But of course you have to have a longer term vision off the back of that. You have to plan well. You have to see what your team needs to look like in the future. You have to have good relationships with the people around you. Fundamentally, you have to have good relationships with the players. You have to care about the players and want them to do well on the football pitch. And I think sort of a mixture of all of those things has led me to this point now, and my previous job as well. I don't know whether longevity's sort of going out the game in the role that I'm in. I don't know. Someone might tell me some stats that contradict that. It feels more difficult to maybe stay in one place for a long period of time, because I think attention spans and appetites for seeing the same person all the time seems to maybe be less attractive these days. I don't know.
Evolution, have you...
Sorry, I missed one of your questions.
You have to evolve, and how have you evolved here?
For sure you have to evolve, but I think the game does that for you. I think the game's changing at such a quick pace. I always say, even within a season, you can start sort of with one way, not say with one way of playing, but with their method of playing, and then through the season that changes because the game changes. So you have to evolve, and you have to be flexible enough to evolve with the game. and you have to keep learning. I think that's the key thing from my perspective. I do think to a degree the game is always teaching me something new, but you've got to be very open to it, and I consider myself and the staff very open to change and very open to seeing how we can improve for the future.
Thanks, George. Go to Charlie, Lee, and then Luke, please.
Morning, Eddie. Harvey Barnes coming off the bench the other day on that left-hand side, he was a real live wire. I know he came on for Anthony Gordon, but when them two play together, how come it's always Harvey Barnes who has to sort of be shifted onto that right-hand side?
I don't think Anthony enjoys the right, playing on the right, so I think Harvey's a lot more open to it and quite enjoys, I think, the freedom that position gives him with our way of playing, so that will be why that's the case. And of course that doesn't mean I can't play Anthony out there, but if a player doesn't really want to play in that position, I think it's a difficult one to force a player to do it, because I don't think you'll get the same kind of performances. But Harvey's a player that's played across the midfield. He's very good in the lines and between spaces, so quite happy to play Harvey there, and I think he's done really well there this year. Of course, probably his number one position is the left, and I know sort of where he would ideally like to play. But I think he's a goal threat off both sides, and the stats would back that up. He's been really good off both flanks this year. He's just a very good all-round player, Harvey, and he did really well and turned the game for us on Sunday.
Thanks, Charlie. Lee?
Morning, Eddie. Just sort of talking generally about the climate for football managers at the minute. It does seem a bit mad when you watched the telly yesterday. You had Rod Stewart coming on and shouting what he wanted at Celtic. I mean, Amarin at Man United referenced, the board listening to Gary Neville. What's it like for a modern day football manager when you do have all that noise swirling around and you're just trying to base it on football decisions?
Yeah, I missed Rod, so I didn't see that, which was a shame. I think the climate for modern day managers is difficult. It is difficult. There's a lot more media and there's a lot more exposure to different opinions. So I think my method is to bunker myself away from it and to ignore it and to make sure my brain and thoughts don't get contaminated by stuff that's absolutely irrelevant to me. It's focusing on the game ultimately and the players. That's what I try to do. So how can I make my players better? How can I have better relationships with them? How can I push them to better performances? How can I help the team? Where do we need to improve? Constant analysis of how we play. That for me will change or help change the next result, hopefully in a positive way. Getting involved in politics and all the other stuff that's around won't help me or the team or the players.
Can I also just check quickly on Fabian Schär? Obviously his contract up. Has there been any talk of an extension? I mean, you just spoke about how important he is there. Is there any hope of him staying beyond this season?
Yeah, there's definitely the possibility. I think all these things will take care of itself in time. All Fabian can do is continue to play at the level that he is.
Okay, Luke, Scott and Martin, please.
An onslaught of questions about management. But if in the last week you've been linked with the Chelsea job and the Manchester United job, is there anything that could tempt you away from Newcastle United?
No, not at this current time. As I said, I think that the most important thing for me is happiness in the role, happiness in the job, the relationships that I have with the people around me. Now, that's not always been consistently good. So I think, and things can change at any football club. But at the moment, I'm very happy. I think we've made some great appointments in the key roles that we needed to fill. And I said, as long as I can express myself in the best way possible and I'm in the best version of myself to help the players and the club. Because ultimately, for any club to be successful, I've said this so many times, but there has to be unity from top to bottom. There has to be a good feeling between everybody. I've had an unbelievable relationship with the board here since I've come to the football club. That's never changed. And I consider myself very lucky to have that, because I think there's very few managers that have the time, as we spoke earlier, to build those relationships and to have the confidence and trust within each other. I think it's really important. And if you have all of those things, I think you've got a higher chance of being successful. There's no guarantee, but a better chance than if the relationships aren't working. So I'm very happy at the moment, and hopefully that stays for a long time.
Thanks, Luke. Scott?
Hi, Eddie. Probably just off the back of what Lee was saying on Fabian, really. You've got Fabian, you've also obviously got Kieran, who's out of contract at the end of the season. Two really, really big players. I can definitely see the argument that you can't really afford to lose anyone from the squad in January, especially defensively. But then the flip side of that is the club probably can't afford to let senior players leave for nothing in a kind of PSR world. Where are you at in terms of that balance, if you like? And then have you had conversations with Ross over that ahead of January?
Yeah, we haven't had huge discussions regarding sort of the contract of certain players, but just because time, as I said earlier, will dictate what happens there, and the players' performances will dictate what happens beyond this season. I think very loose discussions in terms of the transfer window as well, because we're in the middle of a really busy spell of games, and I think we're all aware, Ross included, that, as I've said before, our injury situation will dictate what happens in the market. I know the work's going on behind the scenes to prepare us for that. If we need to move, we can move. But if not, then we can keep our powder dry for the summer, because I think with the PSR world, as you talk about, anything we do now will impact us down the line. So I think we're in this sort of holding brief at the moment where we're awaiting to see what direction we take.
Thank you. Martin?
Hi, Eddie. You mentioned kind of in Germany 18 months ago about how important it was for you to be happy in this role, and you've kind of addressed part of that. Bit of an American here, but can you envisage 4 more years here?
4 more games. I don't tend to do that. I didn't do that from the minute I came in, really. I think I when coming to the football club, I hoped for a sustained opportunity to do the job and to prove myself and to do the job that I thought I could do. But the first task was to stay in the league, and we knew that if we didn't achieve that, then there wouldn't be a part 2. And I think that's how it sort of works. You've got to keep hitting your objectives, you've got to keep hitting your targets, stage by stage. And then if you're able to and you're enjoying it and people want you to stay, then you stay and you enjoy what's to come. So 4 more years, I don't know. Let's just try and navigate through this season first.
Dominic, and then to Gary, please.
Morning. You spoke after the Man United game about Johan Wissan maybe not being quite ready to start games regularly. Since started 2 games in the past week, can he go 3 games in 8 days starting? And in a similar subject, how's Nick Voltemada reacted to maybe a slightly different role in the side over the past month?
Yeah, with Johan, we'll make an individual decision on him. We'll look at a lot of the data that we have, and I'll be in discussions with the sports science team and medical team to make the right call. Nick's been fine. Nick's been really good. I think he appreciates that he's had a lot of games, and this is a chance for him to just draw a breath, reflect, and then go again. So I'm really happy with both players.
Gary, to finish, please.
Hi, Eddie. You just mentioned Martin there. You mentioned targets in your answer. Last season was obviously such a great success. You mentioned this could be a season-defining moment for the club. You're still confident that this season the club can go on to enjoy even more success this term than they did last season?
Yeah, I think I'm as confident as I have been at any stage this season now. I think this team's playing better than it has at any stage season. I think we've got stronger and better as it's gone on. I'd love to think that will continue. We're in the latter stages of the Carabao Cup. That was a really tough 2-legged tie against Manchester City, but one we look forward to. We'll enter the FA Cup very soon. Look forward to that. The Champions League's really finally poised. I think we've got some big games to finish that cycle of games. And the Premier League, I think we're hopefully building momentum and some big games to come. So I think we're in a better place. There's no guarantee on anything, but I believe in the group of players that we have.
Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot. See you soon. Cheers.
And there we have it. Some interesting. You're muted, but are you muted?
Yeah.
It was good to a degree, that one. If I'm honest with you, there was some interesting ones. First thing I want to say is apologies, like I say, to everybody, because we didn't have any control over the sound there, and unfortunately, as always, they forgot to press the button when asking questions, the journos. So it was very difficult for us to hear anything. So I'm sure it would be the same coming through whatever device you're listening on and watching on. So again, apologies for that, because like I say, it did go very, very quiet. But
especially
I suppose,
towards that last question, I couldn't even hear the question.
No,
I'm trying to work out what it was, but the answer was that he's more confident than he's been at any time this season, and he's happy that they now appear to be building a bit of momentum. But I don't know what the question was, so I thought I'd get that out first because I've got notes on the rest.
Yeah, exactly. It was a, like I say, it was a difficult listen for us. Never mind you guys out there in viewerland. So, right then, Mighty, fire away with what you heard, and we'll try and debate, or at least have a conversation about each one. Some good interest in the chat that went along with that. Some agreed with what he said. It's certainly an interesting one with Anthony Gordon, but I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, at some point, but we will. If you want to have a look at the chat and store a few while I go through these, it opened up with him being asked about the very same thing as the last question. It sort of went round in a circle because he was specifically asked, with back-to-back wins, did he feel that the momentum was growing? And he said yes, a good feeling within the group. And and also with the home games coming up, we love evening games, referring to the Leeds match, of course. So he said, yeah, everything's hunky dory. Murphy has had a scan following his hamstring issue towards the end of the game, and the scan was negative, so there's no reason why he shouldn't be available for Leeds. He was then asked about the Willock scandal, for want of a better expression, and he said that it was horrible, but that Willock's reaction had been first class, and that he has all the backing and the love of the club and, of course, of himself. Fabian Schär celebrating 250 games, which, by the way, puts him up in when I did it at the time, I think we said that puts him up to 6th on the list of all-time appearances. He says he's unbelievable character, and he's been outstanding, and he undoubtedly loves the club. He was then saying that the fact that there's only 8 points between 5th and 15th. My old adage, there are no easy games in the Prem. And so it's consistency which is the key. He said you've seen what a couple of wins back-to-back can do. And he was quizzed then about Leeds and how they've gone 7 undefeated now. And well, I think it must be all competitions. I don't think they've gone 7 in the Prem. But he said, yeah, it was a lesson in how you can change from being an expansive, entertaining side, which they were in their promotion season, and they've to accommodate the Prem conditions, they've had to turn into a solid defense unit instead of being expansive and entertaining. They've now gone into defensive mode, which we discovered when we played them at Elland Road, as he said. And of course, he was asked about the return of his love child, Sean Longstaff, and said from the minute he got to the club, Sean was outstanding, that we were sad to lose him, but it was necessary for to progress Sean's career apart from anything else. And another one who absolutely has the club in his bones. Again, a little curveball for him to handle. Does Tino or Trips have to fight for their place at right back as a result of Miley playing so well there? To which he said it's been a huge boost for the team to have Miley performing as well at right back, and then reverted back to pure ready mode. We will take it game by game. So no definitive decision there. Alanga is not there yet. He said he would keep on saying, next game, but until he's right, he won't be back. And then what you suspected he would be asked about the Man United vacancy, and he was asked, that the last time it was up for grabs, his name was very much in the frame, and he came out very early doors and said, I am totally committed to Newcastle United. Nothing's changed. As long as you can be happy still, he is still very, very much committed to Newcastle United. So that'll upset a few bedwetters, no doubt. You did mention something there that I didn't have time to write down about when he said it, as long as he's happy and feels that he's wanted, or words to that effect. I can't quite remember. And there was a follow-up to that, which is, how do you think you've achieved the longevity that you've had in managership? The lengthy spell at Bournemouth, and then he's now become the fourth longest manager in the Prem and the sixth in the whole pyramid. And he says, I've got no idea. He says, all I do is take, he says, obviously it's results based, but he just takes one game at a time. One thing is you've got to have a love for the players. Oh, this was the bit, I did write it down. And the ability to work with people around you to be happy. And he says, as long as that continues to be the case, I am as committed now as I ever have been. But he says that you also have to, this won't please the bedwetter, you also have to keep learning. And him and his team are very open to new ideas and new things. Again, a curveball question on Harvey Barnes. Why, when Harvey Barnes comes off the bench, does he always have to play on the right? Had you never thought about putting Anthony Gordon on the right? And he said, and he's come out and said it now, Anthony doesn't enjoy it as much. And he said Harvey Barnes has proven to be very, very adept at playing on the right, and the stats prove that. So, because presumably Anthony doesn't fancy it, why change what appears to be working? He was then asked about coming back to social media stuff, Rod Stewart, and I haven't seen the comments in question, but he's obviously been putting his boot in with him being a massive Celtic and Man United fan. Rod Stewart must have been putting his boot in somewhere about what's going on at Celtic and Man United. And he was asked how he copes with the noise from the media. And he says, well, it's obviously difficult because it's there now more than ever it has been. But he has learned to develop, his words, a bunker mentality, where he just, he says, anything that anybody's saying is not going to help.
Mm.
And we just get on with the job. Again, for about the fourth or fifth, about 4 or 5 times during the whole presser, he mentioned the one game at a time thing that I'll come on to. But he said, getting involved in any sort of online politics will not help anyone. All he likes to do is improve the players and the team. The dreaded O word was used regarding his connections with open managerial positions, and that was when he was his own quote was referred back to him the last time the Man United job came up, saying his answer there was pure and unequivocal. I'm here. He says, is that still the case right now? And again, he says he's got excellent working relationship with the board. He's very lucky to have that. And right now, he is very, very happy to be at the team, at the Town. So nothing has changed. Trips and Fab, he was asked about, their age and the fact that both their contracts are up in the summer. Would PSR and the fact that Newcastle need to get money from wherever they can dictate whether or not Fab or Trips would be sold during the window? I'm getting told to pass the contract. I'm just writing these down because what I've written down, I'll forget. The notes won't help me expand if I don't do it now, was I? It's not was I? It's the gaffer. Performances will dictate, as far as the transfer window is concerned with them. Their performances will dictate, and also he's working behind the scenes with Ross Wilson, and he's got no doubt at all that behind the scenes Ross Wilson is looking at alternatives should it be decided that Trips and Fab will go. Another lovely little curveball came in. 4 more years? He says to hit you with an Americanism. He says 4 more years, 4 more games.
Quality that was, yeah.
That was his beautiful answer, I thought. It's all you've got to do is hit objectives and hit targets for keep going in the right direction. He was asked to go on.
No, I'm just going to say this is Chris in the background here. Pass the conch, man. I'm not going to put the rest of it on. Thanks for that one, Christopher. I mean, listen, there was some really good answers come away from him. There's also, like I say, there was a lot of chat spring as soon as the Anthony Gordon question come. Finish off what you've got written down, mate, and then
when Ellie done, he was asked about Walter Mora's reaction to being benched, rested, call it what you will. and he said he's been fine, really good, and he's happy with both of them. And that was specifically, well, it was combined with a question about can Wissa start 3 games on the trot? Is he fit enough to start 3 games on the trot?
It's a good question, if I'm honest with
you. Yeah. So I think that's most people are thinking that, well, I'll probably start on Wednesday, to be fair. So we'll see. And finally, the question that we couldn't hear that I've already.
I think it was Rog had put that one in the chat, mate. So let me quickly get to it because he'd given us. I think it was this one. There have been big issues with unity in 4 years, not always. No, it's not that one. I beg your pardon. Bear with me. Or was it? Oh, there you go. It was Geordie. Question was, can we have another successful season?
Well, he says he's more confident now than ever he has been this season. And the team are building momentum nicely.
Yeah, so let's get into what you guys have been talking about in the chat because, like I say, it has been quite interesting. I can't disagree with this one. 3 million and 250 games was his milestone for sure. He's been a bargain, absolute bargain. And like I say, for me, alongside Chow, he seems to have got better at reading the game. But again, like I say, I don't want to big the lad up too much because, as always, commentators curse, always expect a big fall from grace. So,
is this not the case? Is this not the case though? Can you remember when Woodgate was here, and it didn't matter who seemed to play alongside Woodgate,
look better.
They seemed to improve. Titus Bramble all of a sudden stopped making as many mistakes and look the player that we thought would bought in the first place. I kind of quite cast my mind back properly. I'll look that up, but when you've got a stellar centre half there,
it does raise your game. And like I say, you've always got, and this is why I couldn't quite understand with Eddie Howe when he was talking about keeping continuity at the back, because if you've got players that aren't actually doing the job for you, you can't have that continuity. You've got to change, try and build relationships and partnerships up. And like I said, the one thing that I have noticed, and I hope it rings true, and what I like about it now is the fact that for a long time, you've only ever thought of Botman and Dan Burn playing left centre-back. Now, all of a sudden, you've got 2 right-footed can play both. And what I also like to see is they both combine and sometimes change positions during a game just to give you a different dynamic playing from the back. You've often seen Shaw come over to the right centre-back situation, even though now his main part of the game is to stay that left centre-back. So for me, it's something that builds confidence with players in and around you. Having that other player that's got that pace to get in to areas that can recover those positions really well. And we saw that with Crystal Palace. I mean, Malik Chow, for me, has been the bargain of the century for me. And how nobody else came in for him. And, I don't know why the deal with Como actually fell away, but I'm so glad it is. And it did, because for us, he has certainly been, like I say, one of the highlights of this year for me. Tangy saying, back to soft marshmallow questions today after the Palace win, I'd imagine. That
wasn't the case.
Yeah, it wasn't the quite.
I think Tangy put that comment in before the presser, and I had it ready to mark if that had have been the case.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it was.
Yeah, and he obviously come in with the Calvert-Lewin. He wasn't what we needed. He cost Leeds now. And like I said, the thing is, when they are bargains, I mean, we all see now, Wilson had a good start. He had that I always say the 5% bounce, if you like, going to a new club. But that's declined now all of a sudden. And West Ham being in the predicament that they're in, are also now looking to buy in 2 new strikers. So where does that put Wilson now? So 5 months in his new job.
Apparently Wilson's asked to leave.
Yeah, that's what I said. 5 months into his new job, and he's questioning his contract now, and he's looking for a way out. And that's what I'm saying. For me, I didn't think there were much of a gamble when you look at Asula to what Calvert-Lewin can give you. There's no gamble there because you're just paying wages. You've paid no money for him. Where you've paid, like I say, yes, less wages if you like, but for Asula. But I'm still not sure whether Asula can manage the Premier League at this present moment in time. So I don't know what he gives you differently. Kev Bell was in the chat, and he put down, seeing the mess Man United, Chelsea and Celtic are in, it does make me appreciate what we have just a little bit more. Yes, things can be better, but they could be much worse. And I think that is, again, absolutely spot on. And again, you do look at that. One thing I did like about Eddie Howe's question, he was quite open and upfront again, people say for the first time, and I don't want to say that for the first time, but he said, my relationships with some of the team here haven't always been great. But, he was talking about the longevity.
The backroom team he's talking about.
The backroom tap. Yeah, exactly. Hasn't always been great. And you think, ooh, is that just Mitchell or is there somebody else in the pipeline?
Well, again, you see, everybody blames Howe for, being a control freak and wanting rid of both Wilson and Ashworth. But I hadn't heard any talk at the time about friction between him and Ashworth. It was simply Ashworth got offered the Man United job and decided to go and take it.
Kev Bell come in. That one has just reappeared on my screen. We're not far off a fully fit squad. Who do we realistically bring in to improve what we have? I'd say nothing at this point, as any player that could improve won't be sold by their existing club. Well, again, there's lots of talk about the younger wonder kids, the generational talents, if you like, because there's a lot out there. And like I said, for me, if you're looking at a centre forward, Bournemouth, these small clubs are just picking up these cherries. They've just picked up another one. And like I said, for me, I would be looking all over at getting Krupi in my squad. He is going to be some player going forward. And like I said, I don't know how much it would take to get him, but to me, he's another Alan Shearer. He's striking the ball from anywhere from 25 yards at goal. And like I said, when you've got that type of confidence to have a go in the Premier League at that age, you certainly want to go forward. And there's others. And this is what I'm saying. I think what Wilson's got to do now, it's not about just moving players on. And you're right. I think sometimes there is a ceiling a player's hit and you have to start going like for like. But for me, bringing players in now, it's not about named players, Premier League proven players. They've got to start looking at youth. They've got to start looking at these lads that are going to cost up to £30 million that can come in and just evolve within the squad rather than, as we've seen with Elanga, just go and say, go, you're Premier League proven, go and prove me right. That's why I've bought you for £55 million. And it's not happened. Then all of a sudden, all the pressure's on you for bringing him in. We have to develop these youngsters. We haven't got it in the under-21s as of yet, but there's no reasons why we can't go forward and start working. And again, Crystal Palace bringing on that 16-year-old who didn't look out of place whatsoever against us the weekend on Sunday. Is it Drake's Thomas or something like that? 16-year-old kid coming in, looks comfortable on the ball. Eddie needs to start trusting the youth now going forward to get us going. But I do believe there are players out there that can come into this squad without moving players on. Alan McKenzie again just working on the same basis of the Shaw. Michael was saying, I want to hear how Ahmed over not playing Barnes on the left from the start. Gordon needs to get his bottom on the right. We look much more dangerous with Barnes causing havoc. Now, we started this show off talking about management and coaching and where does Eddie sit? And I said, he's a coach. He's not a manager. What you have to be careful of, and again, I totally agree with what you guys are saying. Anthony Gordon isn't firing on all cylinders. But when you have very few, and I talk about this, and again, I want you to look at the wider picture when I say this, because I am going to get hammered when I say this. When you've got a very small pool of fish not swimming very well in the waters, you are, and I'm talking about our wingers here, think about the wingers at this present moment in time that are doing anything for this club. And if you can replace Anthony Gordon with any one of those wingers, tell me who. You're going to say Harvey Barnes, so who goes on the right-hand side? And if Anthony Gordon doesn't want to play there, or he's dropped off of form on the left-hand side is noticeable. So you can imagine a player who doesn't really want to play on the right, how his form's going to drop. So what creativity is he going to give the team by going out there? I agree. As I think it was Steve has put in there, it's the tail wagging the dog. I understand that. But, sometimes as a coach, as a manager, it's about stepping on these stones and not breaking them. You've got to try and develop the mentality of the player. And again, it's about management of the player mentally, as well as the physical and the tactical. And again, if you can keep them on that pedestal and get a little bit more out of them, then you do it for the sake of the club. Anthony Gordon's just worried about himself. I totally agree with that. Anthony Gordon just wants to play for England. I also agree with that. That's also in the chat. But for me, Eddie Howe is lumbered with players that just aren't performing. So when you look at replacing them, who fits the mould? We haven't got them. And that's why I said, for me, I would have given Anthony Gordon a bit of a time on the bench. I'd have put Harvey Barnes out there, and I would have put Joe Willock down the right-hand side because I've got nobody else to choose from. I would have given something different because if sometimes you have to give Anthony Gordon a bit of a kick up the jacksie, then do so. But do it in the right way. Don't just play him out of position for playing his sake. You take him out the team, get that conversation with him and say, going forward, I believe this is best for the team. And if Anthony Gordon isn't happy with that, then it's the highway. But we've still got to have players that are willing to play in that position. And as he quite rightly says, Harvey Barnes has been that player. He's happy to play along the midfield, in front of any position. He knows how to break lines. And again, if it wasn't that change on Sunday against Crystal Palace, with Harvey Barnes coming on, who looked the biggest threat, if I'm honest with you, in that forward line, who do you play? So, you have got to look at it with a bigger eyesight than just you should be told where to go, because you still need these players to all be happy with the ball at the feet. So there's a point to it. I agree with you guys, but there's also a point of it that I disagree with it because, like I said, it's about management and being that coach. They are interlinked, but they are totally separate. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, my thoughts, as have been well aired, are that Harvey Barnes is a brilliant substitute to have on the bench. And he comes on against tired legs, and when he starts, and it's been such a slug trying to without going through every single individual game since he came, and there's lots and lots of them. I'm halfway through at the minute to find out when he started, and then having to look at that game and see what was his contribution. But right now it's looking as though off the bench is much better, because he's made a surprisingly high number of actual starts.
Mm.
And it's noticeable, and we've said it when we've been doing the games. When he starts, he doesn't give you the impact, the press, and all that Gordon does. In fact, somebody in the chat brought that up. Said, why start him on the left when he does so good coming off the bench? And Gordon generally starts off well. Witness Burnley when he was absolutely on fire for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think there's a point, and I mean, I totally agree again with what Steve just come back in there. It does set a bit of a bad precedent, for other players that are trying to get in to the team that are sat on the bench saying, well, what's he doing that I can't? I understand all that. And that's why I said we're talking about depth of squad and trying to keep that unity and trying to keep that togetherness, if you like. And, I don't understand at this present moment in time why we have so many underperforming in the same area. And I think that, to me, is the concern. More than playing Gordon in the left wing continually and bringing Harvey Barnes off the bench, because, again, you're reliant on, does Harvey Barnes defend as well as Jacob Murphy? Well, there's going to be twos and against with that one. You know what I mean? Somebody was saying yesterday in the late show, I think it was Kev, saying how Murphy tucked in to the back five at times and then tried then to recover going down the wing. And that is true as well. There's some breaking news coming in back from the archives, the back of the Tyne. We'll have to have a look at that on tonight. Connor, thanks for that, matey. Ben Jacobs has just confirmed that Liam Rosenior has been given a 6-year contract at Chelsea. So there you go. Yeah, exactly. That's the one. We have got something back from the 95 collection from tonight, which is available from the 13th of January. So there you go. Newcastle United and Adidas, the 95 collection is available from the 13th of January. And I think there's a little video on that. So we'll have a look at it and we'll throw it on tonight's show if we can. Thanks, Connor. Let's go back on with some of the chat, because like I say, Rugby saying about Leeds have changed their formation. They've gone to a 3-5-2. It's a fluid 3-5-2, if I'm honest with you, Rugby. But we will get into that tonight. I have got it all panned out and ready to go for tonight. And again, that's what we'll do. We'll look into the Leeds game tonight. Roger's saying, was that Eddie Howe saying he could be open to a move? Well, as the lads were discussing last night, Manchester United still a big name and it's still a big pull. But he was asked previously before
specifically
went on. Yeah, and he said he was 100% behind Newcastle United.
As long as he's happy and feels supported.
Yeah.
And he said he's got an excellent relationship with the board and all the people around him.
Yeah. Steve, again, coming with this clever question regarding the longevity. And again, it's all linked because, like I say, we knew straight away there's going to be a lot of questions and I suppose opinions regarding Eddie Howe's tenure at Newcastle. And I think, like I said, he answered it as best he could, in my opinion. Nobody's got a crystal ball. Nobody knows how this is going to go. And like I said, if it was up to majority of our fan base, he'd be sacked already. But again, you've got to have a look at the pool of fish that you're picking from. And if, think about the club the size of Chelsea, Club World Cup winners, right? They can only pick Liam Rowe Senior to come in. Come on, guys. That's a massive gamble for them for the rest of this season. Rugby again goes.
There was also, did you see the stats in the forum last night? Somebody put up about how much money it's cost Man United and Chelsea over the past 10 years.
I didn't, mate, no.
To get rid of that managers. Oh, God, it was phenomenal, man. See if I can find.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. I mean, for me, it's not Man United anymore. It's Ineos. And if you think they've had 4 managers at Nice over the last 2 years, how many? I mean, Amrim's had what? Is it 18 months? These guys aren't lasting anywhere near long. And like I say, if you have a look at how many managers since Ineos have come on board for both teams, I think they've gone through something like 8 managers in the time, that they've been involved with both Manchester United and Nice. So, like I said, unless they've got yes man at the helm, they're not interested. While you're doing that, I'm just going to go through a couple more, mate. Gordon has done well at right wing, says Rugby. Remember these cross at the Rat against Arsenal? Yeah, you're talking about that's one cross.
3 years ago.
Yeah, and we're talking one cross, and that's why I said you can't say he's done well because, like I said, he has gone missing a lot more on the right wing than he does on the left wing. And again, it's a mental thing. And at the minute, we've got nobody else performing to a great level on that right wing. So sometimes you do have to bite the bullet, unless you go out there and purchase somebody that can, like I said, flip. And that's why I'm thinking of going younger. And there's a young lad, Jesse. Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. Who's phenomenal at the moment. If you have a look at his metrics, you'd probably come for a small amount of money. I can't think of his blooming name. I hate it when my mind does this to me. Bear with me a second. Let me see if I can bring my info up. Hopefully I can. Jesse Derry. There you go. Jesse Derry. Go and have a look at some of Jesse Derry's work. Anybody out there that's interested. Because, like I say, at this present moment in time, he is absolutely banging in form. And like I said, doesn't cost the world. And that, for me, and I know people will say, you don't want to be solving a short-term problem. You know, for me, that's why I would go for youth. I'd go for somebody who, somebody was in the chat says, let's put the South Korean kid in. And again, you're not wrong. We've been questioning, what's gone on with Park Soo for a long time. Chelsea signed Derry, sadly poached him from Palace. Says Adam Roy. Yeah, but again, he's not playing. And again, Chelsea, if they're not playing him, go in there and throw some money at him. And that's what I'm saying. A real quality right winger who has been absolutely outstanding. And again, you've got to start thinking outside the box and not looking at the again big names that Newcastle just can't afford. You can prize these people away from their parent clubs if you're willing to do so. What else was out there? Steve was saying about the tail wagging the dog. Absolute disgrace. Again, Gordon thinking of England. I think that was absolutely bang on. It certainly, when that question come out, it certainly raised the atmosphere in the chats. How wanting to keep 33 players is not good. So I think that's 33-year-olds. We have too many over 30s, in my opinion. And then it goes, Rugby Eddie should make the decision, not Gordon. And again, this is what I was saying. Sometimes you just have to be careful in managing a team, especially when they're underperforming, is where you go forward. You want to try and keep that unity. You want to try and keep everybody's head above the threshold in confidence that you believe in them and everything else. And I think at this present moment in time, we are so underachieving on the wings. Sometimes it's best just to keep that balance and get it right and try and get a win with any way. I mean, like I said, it wasn't the best performance in the world against Crystal Palace. The most important thing at the moment is getting the 3 points.
Getting the 3 points, indeed. Yeah, I've got those stats up now, look.
Brilliant. Go on then. We'll
so
go
Man United, since Fergie, who they paid £2.5 million to,
yeah,
they've paid 4.9 million payoff for Moyes, 8.4 million for Louis van Gaal, 19.6 million. We'll come on to Mourinho later as well.
Yeah.
19.6 to Mourinho, 23.8 to Ralph Ranieri. Ranieri, wasn't it?
Ranieri.
And various backroom staff.
Yeah, because he bought all his own in, didn't he?
Yeah. 16.9 million for Ten Hag.
Wow.
And 12.3 million for his backroom. And then another 16.9 million for Ten Hag. And now 19.5 million to pay off Amarin.
That's crazy, mate, isn't it?
Meanwhile, Chelsea paid Ranieri $1 million. Mourinho, Avram Grant, 23.1 million, 12.6, 28, 4, another 8.3 for Mourinho. So in total, Mourinho's had £60 million in with the Man United 19.6, £60 million plus for Mourinho in sacking payoffs.
Jesus.
Matteo 4 million. Sarri 26.6 million. Conte and Lampard 24.1 million. Tuchel 13 million. Potter 33.5 million. and his backroom team 49.8 million in total. So it cost them 82 million to get rid of Potter.
Mm.
Pochettino 18 million and Maresco 10 million.
Wow.
I mean, it's crackers.
Absolutely crazy, isn't it? And again, I suppose that just goes to show, sometimes, it's not the better the devil you know, but you certainly want to do the right work behind the scenes before you just go and pull the trigger. And that's why I said you can't fault Brighton and what they've achieved in that, over the, I suppose, the last 10 years, because they've done everything well. The due diligence behind the scenes with getting the manager in. And according to the reports, they know who's the next one to come in if they ever want to press that button. And that's what I'm saying. They've got it all in hand behind there. Different question if the person that they've noted down wants to actually take over the management.
Ross Wilson was asked in the light of the Man United and Chelsea vacancies. He was asked about Eddie Howe going to either of those, to which he replied, "We have got an outstanding manager here, and from past experience, I would certainly rather have one that other people might like rather than one that nobody likes." So Ross Wilson giving Eddie a bit of back in there.
Rugby saying Walter can't be happy he hasn't started against a team with low blocks. I think he should start, as Wissa might not have the space in behind to run. And again, that's a good question. I think it's been an absolute perfect type of team to see Wissa in, because he has got the ability to work off the shoulder with the space behind. So I think, again, it's about working players for teams. Leeds, again, I think will be another team, because they do play a little bit of a high line. They like to go on the press. Whether they do the same at St James's Park, only time will tell. But I think for me, if Wissa can, I'd certainly start him against Leeds, because I think they are the type of teams that will hate the pace in behind. But you're right, Voltamada now must be questioning what he has to do when he's still the leading goal scorer at Newcastle at the minute. Grommytown was saying that Eddie sounded confident in his answers today. He seemed a lot more buoyant. And again, it's amazing what results can do for you.
Exactly.
That's all it is, isn't it?
And then the two results against what everybody's saying are poor teams. But 6 points, that's the difference. 6 points.
Yeah, but again, the question come, and it was part of the show, wasn't it? You look at this league, and again, you go all the way down to, was it 16th place? They are
15th,
all so
anyway.
15th, isn't it? They are all so congested, and again, you've seen Man City drop points. Oh yeah, it's your top, mate. It's the maroon top that's been released again. According to form, with the white stripes, the diagonal stripes, and the black bottom, with the Newcastle Brunel badge on. So, like I say, them are being released very soon. I think they'll go out very, very quickly, if I'm honest with you. I love these tops, and I wished I'd still got mine. Mine was absolutely ripped apart when I had mine, but like I say, it's a shame.
That's identical. It's the blue star top, not the
blue star top. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's put it on there so you guys can see it. But like I say, I'm sure we'll have a bit of a chat. Like I say, we'll have a bit of a deep discussion in that one. There he goes. He's brought his top in.
There's the original.
There's the original. Yeah, absolutely love that top. So I shall be investing, if I can, myself in that new top, if I can get a chance of it. Has anyone noticed, this is from Choppy, has anyone noticed Eddie never annoys other managers like Alex Ferguson used to do?
You see, that's often levelled as a criticism against him, isn't it?
Mm.
That he doesn't revert the nonsense excuses for poor results or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a lot of the time he says the poor results weren't poor results; that they were good performances. To be fair, but so that annoys the fans, but it certainly doesn't annoy the manager.
Yeah, I think the one thing for me, and I keep saying, don't fix something that ain't broke. If I'm honest with you, and I think what he's shown is a different approach to journos than we've seen in the past, where there's a lot of times individual, especially against Bruce, there was a lot of hate towards him directly from the journos as well. A lot of dislike, not hate, because I think hate's the wrong word, with his approach to some of the games, with some of his antics. And I think what you get with him is, again, don't fix anything that ain't broke. So why go against other managers? You can't control what they do. You can only control what's within your realm, if you like. So I tend to understand that. Tony was having a bit of a go with the simple instructions that all journos are given. Yet these people paid, get paid. Can't even remember to press a button. How did they manage to get such a well-paid job? Yeah, indeed, mate. And then, sorry, that my mouse button has gone all over the place. I was a bit peeved at Gordon get his own way, says Geordie Dan. And again, you're right. I mean, he's putting himself before the club. And I've often said there's no one player bigger than the club. But for me, it's a case of, again, you can't always get, as a coach, as a manager, all of your own way. And at this present moment in time, Anthony Gordon, XG and A, is outperforming Murphy, Elanga. So who do you put in? And that, like I said, you've got to sometimes look at the bigger picture. We can see the eye candy, and it's not always what we want to see. And, when he's correct, Anthony Gordon starts games very well, but starts to disappear as the game goes on, especially if he's not getting his own way. Again, it's a mental thing for me. Has he put too much pressure on himself, trying to force his way into the England squad, and his game just isn't comfortable anymore? It isn't controlled. He's doing his best, but sometimes, the more you try, you have days where things just don't work for you. Seems to be me looking at Anthony Gordon in that vein, where he's trying his best and things just aren't working. And again, would a goal, an open play goal, because that's what we talk about with Elanga, just lift him up a little bit more, get that confidence going. He's not going to get that opportunity if he's on the bench. So there's a part of me that understands Eddie Howe's approach to him. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I understand it.
It still wouldn't satisfy some people, by the way, because when the fact that he scored the offside goal on Sunday, and the comments in the chat there from the Gordon, the anti-Gordon brigade, it was a tap in, man. Come on, but
it was still behind him. I thought he did really well to get his foot on that and bring the ball back. Amazing. Roger's saying about unity again in 4 years. Not always. Unity. I love it is now, and I think that is a massive thing at the minute. So Gordon can dictate the way he plays now, says D-Man. Like I said, that is going to rile a lot of people up.
Yeah. I mean, he's used the word there, spineless, meaning Eddie's spineless for allowing Gordon to do that. No. Just good management, D-Man. Good management.
Well, it's like I said. I think it's more the fact. Like I said, you've got to be careful how you manage players, especially when you haven't got. We're not Chelsea. We've not got a number of bodies that we can go and pluck out and throw in there. Again, the only way you're going to find a solution is if Eddie does start to say, well, I'm going to give the youth a chance. And that's what I said. If he's going to do that, have we got it in the under-21s? I don't think we have. I want to see Park Sue have a go because he really looked lively in the pre-season. But he hasn't looked amazing in the under-21s consistently. And I think, I've always stated, to break into anybody's first team, you've got to be consistently higher than the bench mark at your age level. And if you can be that, there's every chance that you can open the door going forward. And that's why, for me, he's got to go and look elsewhere in Europe, because there's lots of young players out there that can do it.
Ooh, look at this. We've got a Leeds fan in the building. Hello, Leeds 1919. 2-0 Newcastle tomorrow. We look absolutely knackered. 3 games in 7 days is about to catch up on us.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have you on board, buddy. Like I say, we're going to do if you can and you're free, you want to jump on board tonight, then obviously you can get in touch with us with the link is at the bottom there, and come on board and give us your views on Leeds. I think you're doing absolutely fantastic, mate. Unbeaten in the last 7. Like I say, it's certainly against you. So, it'll be lovely to hear from you. So if you want, come on board. We start at 8 o'clock. Like I say, give us a bit of a nod in the link below. And like I say, we'll try and get you on board if you can. Flynn saying, hopefully the man you'll come for Howe and he can take Gordon with him. So there's Flynn. He's not happy with Eddie. He wants him gone. Has Eddie accidentally thrown Gordon under the bus? And I think
this will be the next thing. Eddie throws Gordon under the bus. It's nonsense, man.
Yeah. And I think this is trolls now. If Howe won more matches in the start of the season, then yes, he should stay for 4 more years. But he can't get the team going before December or January, and that's not good enough. And I think that is the real big question mark over Eddie Howe, isn't it? What is it in the pre-season that Eddie Howe struggles to get results before December?
And every pre-season that he's had has been the same. There's always been turmoil of some description. Either no money to spend, so can't strengthen the squad, have to weaken the squad. A new director of football coming in, who's clashed with everybody and rubbed everybody up the wrong way, including the Rat. This year, the Rat himself causing all the turmoil. The year before Mitchell, the year before that, no money. There's always been valid reasons for me why we haven't started the season brilliantly.
Yeah,
and one of these years, 2027 coming up, one of these years we'll get it all, everything in place before the summer window. We'll have a full pre-season, and then let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I still think there's he's got to be better at getting the results. Like I said, and again, he's got to start getting that. He's got to start getting the motivation into the lads from early in the season. For me, like I said, pressure gets less and less if you've got points on the table, and the pressure only builds up. And you can give him an excuse at the start of his tenure, but 4 years in now, those excuses do get a little bit narrower. You know what I mean? So for me, it's a case of he's got to start getting the best out of the lads earlier in the season, and that should get the best out of the team going into the end of the season for that Champions League position. And like I said, Leeds fans just come back in saying they've got a house doing.
300 odd in the likes. Hit in the chat. Hit the likes, folks, please. We haven't even got 100 likes yet. See if we can get that up. See if we can get that up to 100, please.
Gavin here, Gordon is all for himself, not NUFC. The only reason he won't play on the right is he's confident he can get into the England side on the right hand side. And like I said, I think I think he's putting himself under far too much pressure, because the wing play for England, if you look at the depth of it, I don't think Anthony Gordon will be in the England squad unless he sees him as a 4th or 5th if required with injuries. And I think on this season's performance, Anthony Gordon's only chance of being in the England squad at this present in time is if injuries occur to the others in front of him. I just don't think he's performed well enough to be at the World Cup. And there's certainly lots of bodies for me less bodies down that right hand side as daft it looks. If you look at it, when you see Saka get subbed, it's only usually for your mate at West Ham, Bowen. And like I said, behind that, there's very little. So I don't understand Anthony Gordon's mentality when you look on the left-hand side, how many players can play there? Eze, Rashford, you just keep going, can't you?
Well, except that Tuchel picks him on the left.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
In front of those.
Well, not always. Not always. If you have a look over
Rashford, the last game.
Yeah, the last couple of games, he's not even been involved, has he? And like I say, you have got Madueke as well, says Ian. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But again, is Madueke always going to be in the Arsenal lineup?
Madueke plays on the right anyway, mainly, doesn't he?
He does play on the right, absolutely. And that's what I said. He's not always in the Arsenal lineup in front of... and that's what I said, for me, I think he's got a little bit more of an opportunity to throw himself in on the right-hand side if he can. Get that tap in criticism off Gordon because he's shooting from other areas. He's awful for a forward, unlike Barnes, who can put it in the top bin, says Tanguy. I think that is... You're absolutely right. I mean, what we know with Anthony Gordon, his left foot isn't brilliant. Where Harvey Barnes, like I said, for me, I think you've got a great variety in Harvey Barnes because he can play across the front line. You can play him just off the forward. Again, he played in the 10 for West Brom. We keep saying it. He can play right-hand side, even though we still think he's not an all singing, all dancing right winger. And yet, for me, he changed the game against Crystal Palace with his running behind. I thought he was outstanding on that right-hand side. Sometimes I like to see him go narrow because it allows Marley to go down and push past him on the wing, which is what I want to see the fullbacks do. I think sometimes the way Anthony Gordon plays on that left-hand side, and again, I think it is an instruction from Eddie Howe, you see Louis Saw play more inside left position. And again, I don't think that suits us because if Gordon gets to the byline, his crosses aren't all that good. So are we missing out on something there? I'd rather see Anthony Gordon play inside and come on his right foot and try and utilise that far post a little bit more. And again, we've seen with Harvey Barnes, that cross to the back stick for Louis Smiley to get the assist for Bruno. We know how versatile Barnes is, and we know at the minute how poor Gordon is performing. But again, I look at depth. Who else is going to give you that? For me, Murphy couldn't cross anything against Crystal Palace. Did well defensively, but again, going forward, I thought he was very poor. Anyway, we've done a lot longer than we expected to do, if I'm honest with you. And I'm sure my mate wants to go and get some shut-eye and a little bit more rest.
No, we are straight back on.
Oh, you've got Chris, haven't you? You've got Chris and you. Is that your 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock, undisputed, yeah.
Oh, there you go. You've got the mighty win versus the American Mag in the undisputed. So I'm sure that's going to go a little bit further. Like I said, there's the Leeds fan. He's got a viewing at 7. But like I say, if you have got time, get on board with us, and we can certainly do with your insights on Leeds United. He was talking about climbing those stairs tomorrow when he gets to St James's Park, which is always a good thing to see. So, like I say, don't go anywhere. Everybody out there in Viewerland, the American Mag and the Mighty Win are on straight after this.
Did you see that one? Is Barnes likely to play because he loves a goal against us?
Yeah, well, exactly. He should play. He shouldn't be off the bench. He should play. And even if it means he starts on the right-hand side for me, I want to see him in the starting 11.
I'd love to know what all this red lipstick stuff is that keep on here. Are my lips particularly red? They don't look particularly red to me.
They look a lot redder than mine on the show. That's obviously you've got more blood flow to your lips, sir. I think it's just your gain on your colouring that needs to be dropped down a little bit. That's all. But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, like I say, we'll catch you later at 8 o'clock where we'll take a deep dive into the Leeds game. And then obviously you've got the Mighty Win versus the American Mag. Come on up at 11. Go and grab yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and come straight back and watch the lads perform with the gloves on. Take care. Have a lovely rest
With
of
the gloves
Tuesday.
off. How are you, the lads?
Lasses and bairns, take it easy. Have a lovely day.
Ciao.